What is up? What is up? What is up? This is the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast. We're here, special one today. I'm just going to do a little swip to my Lou here. Look, I am obviously your host with the most time on his hands. Look, this would normally be a bonus episode because it's Thursday, but we didn't do a show on Tuesday because of how many freaking shows we have coming up. It's actually kind of insane. But as I mentioned, I am Thomas Tipple. You can find me at Thomas Tipple FF, and I do believe that Rex Grossman will still be the only quarterback to play in a Super Bowl for the Bears in the Justin Fields era when it is over.
Man, that is harsh.
Yeah.
I'm Billy. You can find me on Twitter at BigBillyFF. I have 11.5-inch hands.
Hey, can't hate that.
Hands guy for the combine.
Jacob.
I am Jacob Sanderson. You can find me on Twitter, FF_RTDB. And I'm actually considering getting a haircut within the next 3 to 4 days.
I'm with you, man.
There you go.
Is it my turn?
And it is.
I'm Steven Johnson with Shy City Sports, and you can find me on Twitter at Steven_Roto.
Okay, guys, big
All
day
right.
today. Big day today. Obviously, the combine has everyone going absolutely bananas. We are going to get the intro. We're going to get that hammered down. Shots fired with only 10 seconds in. Dave's up here doing his thing. Ryan came in. Was Christian Watson made in a lab? I need to know. I think he was.
I think he was, yeah.
He's a freak.
AJ Green.
And I mean, hey, as much as people want to say, let's get him in there with Lance, I don't think the 49ers need a receiver. I think they need better play calling, but that's besides the point.
Please, not
look,
more
normally...
receivers on the 49ers. Like, oh my God.
If you are...
Shanahan is licking his lips right
for all in the name of fantasy football, like, we cannot have more weapons on the San Francisco 49ers. This is like a small island nation having like nuclear weapons and a conscripted army. Like, there's not enough to go around.
I mean, hey, can he take handoffs? He can be the next Debo, because apparently that's the new hotness, which that's driving me crazy already. Look, if you're new to the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast, you're not familiar with what we do here. Normally, we would start the show with something we like to call "Do We Give a Shit," which is basically just the news of the week that you've probably already heard 672,000 times from other news outlets, podcasts, and people probably way smarter than we are. That's not what we're here to do. Look, you've heard about the 8.5-inch hands. We don't really give a shit. You're going to hear that for weeks. So not a lot of news that we can actually talk about. So we're going to skip right past that. We're going to take a second, give you a break from hearing our voices. We're going to give you a clip from one of our previous episodes. And we come back, we are going to hop right into Billy's Stat Corner, which I've been getting a lot of messages about saying, guys, you haven't done one in a while. Well, Billy's ego is going to get inflated here after the Even Odds podcast, which you haven't listened to. I did mention I was scared for this because, Jacob kicked our ass in that. So sit tight. We're going to come back. We're going to do Billy's Stat Corner. Then we're going to do some Bear stuff, and you're not going to want to miss it. So sit tight. Look, he had a 25% target share, lower than Hollywood Brown's. He had 159 targets, which is only 19 more than Hollywood Brown. He was third in the league in receptions. He's third in the league in air yards. He's like 8 in completed air yards. The guy doesn't go, and I know the cover 2 shell, it had him catching a lot of short ball. Who cares if he PPRs his way to 10 receptions for 80 yards and a touch? Who cares? The guy's in elite talent. And if he's slowing down, he's going to be 28. He's slowing down. Go and watch how he embarrassed the Bills.
He's
4 guys had the angle. Yeah. And he's not even. 4 guys had the chance to tackle Tyreek Hill in the playoffs. Yeah. And he just zoomed past him, gave him the deuce. Yeah, I'll forever fight for Tyreek Hill being just an egregious value at 210 in startups. I just think it's absolutely laughably hilarious. But I'll die with him on all of my rosters, apparently. Guys, if you're new to Billy's Stat Corner, this is how it's going to work. Billy is a master of obscure statistics, who again was beaten up on at the Even Odds podcast, missing a fairly easy Green Bay Packers question, and I feel like he's going to unleash his wrath. Steven, I don't think you've ever played Billy's Stat Corner. This is how it's going to go down. Billy's going to ask us a question. We're going to have to guess. We're going to get 3 strikes as a group to get it right, and we have 1 hint to get it done. Let's see what we can do. Billy, what do you have?
All right. I'm kind of digging this one because I found this baby right before the show. I actually had another one. So I'm real excited to go ahead and use this.
Where were you going to find babies before the show?
Usually it's pretty easy.
Oh God.
What's happening in Texas?
Our FBI agents are going to be watching us quite curiously.
Anyway,
I have some of the things that I would say on Chase's show, but I have to be more PG on this one, so I'm going to keep those Texas jokes to myself.
Yeah, take it easy.
Oh my gosh.
So starting off, I'm just going to dive right into the question because it's pretty straightforward. Ja'Marr Chase had the best rookie year by a wide receiver of all time. He walked in with 13 receiving touchdowns. Who, since 2018, are the next... This one has to be 4 because there's a tie for third place, are the next 4 wide receivers in touchdowns.
For rookie year receiving touchdowns?
Rookies?
Yep, rookie year receiving touchdowns.
Since 2018.
We need next 4.
Yep.
Oh, since 2018 only.
Yep. And I'll give you 4 outs now since you got 4 guesses.
There's 4 names.
Okay.
4 names. Okay, for rookies since 2018.
So
I think AJ Brown is a pretty strong guess. I remember him breaking a lot of very long touchdowns.
Oh my
in 2019.
God. AJ Brown is one I'd come to mind. For some reason, Terry McLaurin is sticking out to me. I don't know why.
I like Dave here with DK.
Yeah, I like the DK. I think DK.
Yeah, he had like
AJ.
10.
Brown.
Didn't he?
I like DK and AJ. Can we make those our first 2 guesses?
Okay, we're going to go double it up with DK and AJ Brown.
All right. You get half with the Ole Miss duo. AJ Brown he's one of the ones tied for third with 8 touchdowns. DK Metcalf sitting just behind him with 7.
Okay. I'd like it noted that my guess was correct. Steven's correct.
Take that, Dave.
This isn't the even odds, all right? We got to work together.
Okay, the nice thing is now we know how many touchdowns, so we know that it's got to be 8 or more, right?
Right.
Okay.
So I like Jefferson here, but I don't think he scored
actually know
ton.
that Jefferson's correct.
I think he was
horrifically
inefficient.
Sure. Claypool is 100%.
Claypool had 10. I'm down with Claypool.
Okay, so there's one.
Claypool.
Yep. Chase Claypool. He technically had 9. He had the bonus with the rushing touchdown, but good enough. Chase Claypool, good for number 2.
Okay.
Is this only receivers, or can we guess tight ends? Not that I think any tight ends actually are on this list.
This is only receivers. I will note Pat Freiermuth just behind this list with 7.
Okay.
So he was tied with DK Metcalf.
Okay. What about how many touchdowns did Waddle get? I know
he was up there towards the end. He started stacking them, but I don't know if he had that many.
I think Waddle. But Waddle had some rushing touchdowns. I don't know if he got 8 receiving.
Yeah.
Is it total touchdowns or is it receiving touchdowns? You said
it is receiving touchdowns.
Okay. I don't think he got
it. I think Waddle had like 2 or 3 rushing. I don't know if he had that all receiving.
Did Ayuk have 8?
No. He had 748 yards and 6 touchdowns. I'm quite sure.
I trust you with the
exact number.
I trust you with the numbers. Okay, so we have 2, right? We have 2. So Billy, let's get our hint while we're ahead.
All right. So my hint now in hindsight, I may need to come up with a new one. All these players are currently on the team they did this for. So there's no team jumping, no random guy who got cut after his first year. Nothing crazy here. These guys are all still on the team they did this for.
Did Lamb get 8? That seems possible. I don't know for sure.
With Andy Dalton?
It seems possible. I wouldn't say it's likely.
Yeah. Possible and likely. Two completely different ends of the spectrum.
We need 2 more, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's McLaurin. I think McLaurin only had 6 as a rookie. I mean, he was playing on a horrible team. Like, they didn't score a lot of touchdowns his rookie year. Like, it was Case Keenum and Dwayne Haskins throwing the ball. I don't think T. Higgins. I don't think it was T. Higgins.
Was Godwin? Was that 2018?
No, he was 2017 class, and he didn't do anything as a rookie anyway.
That's
2018
right, yeah.
class. Oh, Ridley actually had a lot of touchdowns in 2018. He was only a part-time player, but he like busted a couple screens. I think Ridley had 8.
I don't like Calvin Ridley, but let's go Calvin Ridley.
That is correct. Calvin Ridley is number 1. The
wow,
only
really?
one besides Jamar Chase with double-digit touchdowns. He had 10.
Okay, so we just need
Wow.
one more.
So bad the rest of the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so 2018, the only other guys from 2018 are DJ Moore, who's never caught a touchdown in his entire career, and Cortland Sutton, who he was more of a second-year breakout, not really first year.
He didn't get 8. He was hurt, I think, right?
And then 2019.
Did Mike Williams do anything?
That's
rookie
way
year?
before. Isn't that before
No, that's
2018?
earlier.
Okay, he was 2017.
And then his
2019 class would be like, I mean, so Hollywood Brown, I don't think so.
He didn't get 8.
Nope. Yeah, we already did AJ. Obviously not Paris Campbell.
No, I think he went 8. I think he went 7, 8, 6.
I'm just trying to run through all these guys. Obviously not Harry. Then okay, anyone else? 2020 class. Anybody else? Like maybe Ayuk, but I don't think so. I think he was 6 or 7.
You were very confident in those numbers.
No, I know.
Yeah, I mean, you're spitting out numbers where I'm just like,
I'm 100% sure that Ayuk had 748 receiving yards. I'm not 100% sure on the touchdowns. I think it was 6 or 7, but I don't think it's 8. But it might be 8.
Okay, this is brutally tough here. This is going to be some real stupid answer that none of us. Man, and obviously, like Judy didn't make it. Lamb didn't make it.
T. Higgins didn't do enough.
No, he didn't.
8 touchdowns? Nah.
I don't think he did 8 touchdowns.
Should
we try Lamb? Yeah, we've only wasted 1 strike, right?
Okay, well let's waste another one. Let's go CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb did not make it.
I didn't think so.
I didn't think so either.
This is brutal. Okay,
CeeDee Lamb had 5 touchdowns.
5. Okay.
We got.
So can we try Ayuk then? I mean, I think he might have 8 total, but he had some rushing in there too.
Let's try Ayuk.
Ayuk had 7 total. He had 5 receiving and 2 rushing.
Okay, 1 strike. We need 2 names. It's going to be someone obscure.
No, we only need one. We got Claypool, we got AJ Brown, and we've got Calvin Ridley.
It's going to be something really, really
so we're sure it wasn't Jefferson.
I like torturing you.
Oh, we haven't guessed Jefferson.
We haven't, but are we sure? I know the yards were there. I don't know if the touchdowns were there.
See, I don't think Jefferson got it, but I also think that if we don't guess Justin Jefferson and then it's Justin Jefferson, we're gonna look like idiots.
Well, let's look. It's T. I think the chat really wants T.
I don't think it's T.
I don't think it is.
It's a Bear. If a Bears fan wants to hang his hat on a Minnesota Vikings wide receiver, I think you got to.
I don't think it's either, but I would rather. I think both are wrong, but I would rather guess Jefferson than T. Higgins.
Lose with your studs, right? So let's lose with Justin Jefferson.
Sure.
All right, we're voting Justin Jefferson. He did not make the list, and I will gladly proclaim the player that did has not been named once. Because 2019 wide receiver Darius Slayton had 8 receiving touchdowns.
I knew it. You son of a bitch. I knew it would be something stupid.
I missed this game.
Darius freaking Slayton? For real?
Darius Slayton.
You're so giddy.
Man.
You're so giddy about it, and I hate it.
Jacob got very excited. I can't remember what wide receiver it was, but he was like, and I was like, oh no, he got it. He pulled it out of his head.
The 5th round compensatory pick.
I will give credit. Anthony Miller was 1 away.
Watching Malik Willis put on a show.
I was trying to find a way to get Anthony Miller on this list for you, Steven.
No, I refuse to relive those years. And
look, we're gonna
he brought.
We're gonna touch on the combine. I promise everyone. I know Willis is absolutely putting on a clinic right now. And we love to see it. We are we're big Malik folks. Chase, the question was since 2018, Sorry, Billy, can you repeat it? 2018.
Since 2018, what rookie wide receiver had the most touchdowns? And it was the top 4 below Jamar Chase.
Right. So that's what it was. And look, when we come back, we're going to talk some Chicago Bears with our main man here, the man who knows it all. And then after that, we're going to hit the combine. So don't go anywhere just yet. Sit tight. I just want to add, though, it takes a few years to rebuild an offensive line. It's not just sign a free agent, draft 2 guys, and they're good right away. It took San Francisco a while to establish this wide scheme after Harbaugh left. It took a while to get the right pieces in place. It's not going to be whoever they're drafted is an automatic RB1. And I think that's the fantasy advice people need to pay attention to. Because no matter who they draft and no matter who they place, they're just as likely to be Myles Gaskin year 1 as anyone else they put there.
Solid coverage.
Look, obviously the Chicago Bears offense has looked not hopeful the last, forever, Steven.
Well, if you're going to show positive plays from Justin Herbert, that's another thing.
Hey, I gotta put it out there just to pour salt in the wound. Look, there's some good, there's some bad. Obviously, in Justin Fields season 1, we're all pretty hopeful on him still, even though it was not fantastic. He started rushing at the end of the year. The one thing that you're going to see in the videos, if you're watching, and if you're not watching, you're only able to listen. Jakeem Grant was like the Bears' best player for a couple of weeks, and that's not like a happy thought. Like, that's a very sad thought when Allen Robinson is on the team. Billy will be able to shed many tears on Allen Robinson as his favorite player. And obviously Darnell Mooney was fine, but he wasn't fantastic. When Jakeem Grant is one of your best players, are you just praying they draft a wide receiver in the first round? Obviously, the combine, which we're going to talk about later, there's 20 wide receivers that fit many bills for Chicago's needs. But are you like, please give us a receiver round 1, or do you want quantity over that first round?
I mean, if they go round 1 with the receiver, that means they're giving up more picks, which I don't want to see by any means. Because this is the thing, and it's a double-edged sword, because obviously, not having the first rounder because of the Justin Fields trade, it hurts. But in hindsight, I think you could definitely say that Justin Fields would be the number 1 quarterback in this class if he did wait that year to come out, and so. I mean, all things considered, okay, like it's fine, but the wide receiver position is arguably the biggest need for this team. Ryan Poles, the new GM, has come out saying exactly that, and saying, we've looked at the historicals, quarterbacks that need to take that next step up, and it all boils down to one thing: going out and getting a wide receiver who can bail out his quarterback when he gets in trouble. And right now, the Bears don't have that on their roster. Yeah, Darnell Mooney is a solid player. He put together his first 1,000-yard season. Yeah, he needed 17 games to do it. But beyond that, here are the wide receivers that are currently on the Bears roster: Daz Newsome, Isaiah Coulter, and Nasimba Webster. That is it. That's it.
Yikes.
So you go into the season with that as your 4. That is by far the worst receiving core in the NFL. By all means, they're going to invest in free agency. They're going to invest in the draft. I just don't know if it's going to be the 2nd or the 3rd round, but if they do not leave day 2 with the wide receiver, I'll be stunned. Like, there is no reason why they shouldn't add at least one solid veteran and then one promising player. And thank goodness wide receiver after today is turning into one of the more deeper positions, just based on the way that these guys are running today. My God. Seeing some of these 40 times, it's going to be interesting now just to see who falls. I mean, you have guys that are coming off serious knee injuries that are running sub 4 or 5 times. And it's like, okay, like what exactly is going to be the shakeup here once the Bears get on the clock with the 8th pick in the 2nd round?
So if you had to pick, like, let's say if we are just bargain binning free agent wide receivers, let's say Michael Gallup gets signed, even though he's coming off a knee injury. Let's say Bears spend the money, they go Gallup. Who's the rookie for everyone in the room right now? Let's say they go 208, right? 2nd round in the NFL draft. Who is it for everyone? I want to start with Jacob because he's the wide receiver connoisseur on the program. Who did like 208 early 2nd round wide receiver that fits the Bears?
Yeah, I mean, I'd want someone with little size, right? Like, I think Mooney is your ideal flanker. So I think you still need the X guy. I think you still need the slot wide receiver. And that doesn't necessarily always have to be that the X is the guy that you value higher, that you use the top premium pick on. But like, I think George Pickens is probably the guy that I would look at. I think by the time that we're at 208, I think it's likely that London, Olave, Wilson, Williams are all off the board. Burke's probably off the board. And, I don't know if I think Dotson is basically just another Darnell Mooney. Like, I don't know that you're getting a lot of a variability. So I think Pickens is probably the guy that I would want to pick. Yeah, Dave's in the chat saying David Bell. Fantasy Twitter needs to get a grip. I've been saying this for months. Like, I love David Bell as much as the next guy. He's not getting drafted in round 2. Like, it's not going to happen, guys.
That's a stretch.
I love David Bell. I've loved him for a while. But seriously, it's been very, very clear since honestly October that David Bell is not going to get drafted in round 2. I think it's quite possibly gets drafted maybe at the end of round 2, probably in round 3, but also quite possibly in round 4 or round 5. So sure, if Bell gets the draft capital, I'll be happily drafting him. But no, that he's not going to be in consideration for the early day 2. I think Pickens would be my favorite pick there, or maybe Christian Watson.
Man,
yeah, you stole me with you stole mine with Pickens. Billy?
Yeah, I've been talking about Pickens to the Bears for 2 months now. So let's
very hipster of you.
Yeah, give me some credit. I deserve it. I'm important too. I make these picks. Unfortunately, now
whoever goes to the Bears, Billy will love them because he loves every Bears wide receiver ever.
As a Packers fan, it's super weird.
Besides the point, I like Pickens. Pickens makes a lot of sense going to the Bears. Unfortunately, after he ran as well as he did and looked as good as he did at the combine, I don't know as though he's going to be there early round 2. Christian Watson, I think, is a really interesting one. If the Bears decide they want to go get a guy, it's going to be really interesting to see how Christian Watson is trailing up boards after this combine performance. Because boy, oh boy, but there isn't a whole lot of that archetype in this draft. I mean, we just watched it in this combine. Everyone runs a 4.3 and everyone is 6'1". It's if we want to go get someone who I think could fit into that role and is still there, I think Jalen Tolbert maybe.
Oh yeah,
but he is not quite that size that I'd be wanting. I think if you're looking for someone to fill the Allen Robinson role, I think George Pickens is the best choice on the board by a mile.
See, if I had to pick, I do like Jalen Tolbert is that guy. It's weird that you say a lot of guys don't have the size because Bateman last year at 6 foot, 192, we were that's the possession guy, big bodied guy. And that was 6 foot. He shrunk obviously drastically throughout the draft process. But I don't think the way we look at that primary guy, I think is different. I think just because the size isn't as big, I think the skill set matters a little bit more. So I think Pickens and Tolbert are my 2. 208 feels high for Tolbert right now.
Yeah, I think
we'll
he's
see
more
how that
308 maybe.
Right.
Yeah, like that. And that's kind of it feels like a lot of the high end wide receivers are going to be gone. And it So this is a deep shot. If you want to go get like a fast guy at 208, and then you want to get a 5th round wide receiver that could fill into that Allen Robinson role in some extent. We were talking about him a little bit before the show. I'm biased because he's a Red Raider, but Eric Ezukama is like that's 6'3", 220. He profiles as that contested catch guy. Like he's like at the back of the draft. I think he's probably one of the better options, but who knows where his draft pick is going to be.
He did. Olave did.
Olave was never going to be the. I think fantasy Twitter fantasy.
Okay, Jacob's getting geared up.
Look, I think fantasy Twitter needs to learn how to use fucking Google. So I was on David Gautier's podcast talking about the difference between how I'm approaching like Dynasty rankings once we actually have the draft versus best ball now. And it's just so exploitable in the sense, like, I get it. I'm also a production stats analytics nerd. I also love David Bell. I'm also ranking Chris Olave in the middle of my top 10. But like, when's the last time anyone's seen a mock with Chris Olave not in round 1 by a reputable source? Like, he was always going to go round 1. Like, now he's probably going, like, he might be the first wide receiver drafted in the NFL draft. Yeah. Like, that's legitimately possible.
Every year we have these kind of conversations, I feel like.
So I think it's like kind of the same thing. Yeah, exactly. Like last year, right? Like
Waddle.
You know, a lot of people, it's like, I was not a Waddle person. I was wrong about that, but I was not a Waddle person pre-draft. But I had mocked him at 6 to the Dolphins. Like, that was not a surprising pick to me.
You did, yeah.
In terms of, there's a difference between, I think, reading the tea leaves of what the NFL is going to do. Like, my most rostered best ball wide receiver is Jahan Dotson. Am I going to be drafting a lot of Jahan Dotson if he goes in round 1? Probably not, because the cost will adjust. But like, I'm drafting a shit ton of him now because he's going in best ball like wide receiver 8, and he's going to be drafted probably in the first round. I mocked Kadarius Toney at the exact pick last year too. I had him go to the Bears.
There's nothing,
but yeah, like
there's nothing on this show that Jacob loves more than running through the gauntlet of how many correct picks he got last year on the draft show.
Yeah, I had a very
might
good
be your
draft.
favorite. Steven, I just want to ask you. Then I'll do a little switch up. I want to go dream wide receiver at that spot. And then what's your alternate if they go into 308? Because that seems like a little more reasonable draft spot for you.
You know, I think I'll do 308 first because there's one guy, I don't know if he's going to last. He's like right on the fringe. That being Alec Pierce, Cincinnati.
Okay.
Again, another big body guy.
4.33, Billy, 4.33.
I did not realize Alec Pierce was like bordering on an early 3rd.
Yeah,
he's gonna move up now.
When Alec Pierce gets drafted ahead of David Bell, people are gonna be really mad on that.
That's gonna hurt me.
But yeah, I guess just to that point of that size, I mean the numbers don't necessarily jump off the page at you, and you can argue the competition level, and especially once they got a taste of real competition, once they got into the playoff, was not all too great by any means. That being said, I think it still offers up an intriguing option for the Bears there if they do wait until the 3rd round and if he is still on the board. But I mean, in the interim, in a perfect world, I mean, at this point, I don't think he's going to last. And I know we've talked about him a couple times, but I mean, I would love Christian Watson. I would absolutely love him to fall there, but it is not going to happen now. But then again, we're talking about potentially 7 wide receivers in the first round, if not more. Just with the way the rest of the talent at various positions is just not, you know, where it should be as first round picks, and the fact that, you know, the league is finally catching up as a whole to just being more pass happy. And there's some teams who have lived in this, you know, ancient time or made some really bad picks, Jalen Rieger, to, you know, try and get there along the way.
He's not wrong
so,
here.
You know, I'm just hopeful that teams just start to ignore the position, so all that talent moves down, and the Bears kind of just have their pick of the litter. But it's being very optimistic and probably almost to the point of a pipe dream, just with the fact that I think this week and specifically today opened up a lot of eyes to again those names in general, and some other names that we had just mentioned here as well.
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with Alec Pierce. He does fit that size speed combination. He kind of gives me Pettis vibes. And I don't really know why. He just kind of does. And that makes me really sad.
Way to just throw his pick under the bus.
Hey, it's not. Hey, I got
Sorry, Steven.
Hey,
Pettis. Oh my
God. Steven knows that I'm gonna tell like it is.
I think
he knows this.
He probably comps like somewhat favorably to Claypool, right?
Now? Yeah, I mean maybe. I don't know. I don't like him yet, but he's probably going to grow on me. That size speed combo is really, I think, rare when it comes to the last couple of drafts. One more Bears question before we get into the combine stuff. David Montgomery, I believe, is on the last year of his contract, if I'm not mistaken. He has had back-to-back years where he has finished very well for fantasy football, but he is being drafted far too high, in my opinion. I know Jacob's not a fan. The Chicago Bears, are they?
Well,
really
I don't look at.
I
don't understand where the running back tab is. I've been doing these startups. I can't locate it, so it's not Montgomery's fault. Exactly. Once round 10 kicks off, I'm able to find the running back tab. But for the first 9, it's really tough.
I know it is for you.
That's
how it is. But Herbert looked suitable, right? When Montgomery was gone, and obviously when Montgomery came back, it was the all Monty show. Do you really think the Bears are going to spend the money to keep Montgomery? Like, if you're drafting him in startups or you're trading for him now, are you just sitting on a potential burned roster spot? Like, nowhere else is going to give him 90% of the work. You don't think? Like, we don't even know if he's going to get 90% of the work now. I think he's a risky play. How are you approaching David Montgomery in the backfield? I want more Herbert than I want Monty right now, for me personally.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that I like to see is if you're in a win now scenario, then I think he's the perfect guy at that position, especially if you've kind of ignored it to start. The way that Matt Nagy utilized the running game was nothing short of bizarre. And it's left it's just left a lot to be desired, to points where you'd sit there and watch David Montgomery get 25 carries, and then another game comes along and he's down to 10, and it's not necessarily a situation with game script. You would not let the hot hand stay the hot hand. All of a sudden he'd be gone for 3 possessions, and there was just this no rhyme or reason scenario. And so now you get Matt Eberflus coming in, handing over the reins to Luke Getsy. And so there's a lot of hope in Chicago right now that they kind of rely on him. But again, the question being, he comes into this contract year. I have a really difficult time believing that they're going to give him a significant extension, maybe something like a 2-year deal, just to extend it out a little bit more, and almost to an extent, not big money, but just really incentive heavy to what he can do, and basically say, listen, this is a new regime. We really want to, see you grow, but we need to see whether that's actually there in your talent once we get like an actual competent offense in place, which has not been the case for the last 4 years in Chicago, or I guess even longer if we want to go into former regimes. Right. But the thing about Montgomery, he's great at breaking tackles, but outside of that, you wonder about just the elusiveness, the yards before contact, not great at all. You can argue that the offensive line has a fair bit to do with that. But again, when it comes to having that explosive option in the run game, I think you could argue that Herbert has that ability to do things a little bit more, just because he has that shifty nature about him. And so I think right now it's almost a trial year for this coaching staff and this front office to really evaluate things, because I don't think anybody's really going to see the Bears as a team to sit there and fight for the playoffs, especially when they have, upwards of 22, 23 positions that they have to fill on this full roster with some limited cap space as well. So really it's, there's a lot of talk about changeover this year. There's going to be a significant amount more next year to really get this team into a shape. And I'm not entirely sure if Montgomery is going to be that guy that's a part of it.
See, that's why I'm afraid having him right now. Like you're talking about completely changing regime, expiring contract for a running back who's not uber athletic. It gets by in a lot of work. Jacob, I don't even think I need to ask you this, but I'm going to anyway because I respect.
Oh God, who changed my name to Kenny Pickett QB1 while I was looking up Herbert stats? I'm trying to find stats on Khalil Herbert to add to the show, and all of a sudden I support the small-handed.
Oh my goodness!
I hate
we don't
Kenny
judge
Pickett.
here.
Not personally.
Look, I know.
I have the same hair.
I know you're one of the kings of just not caring about running backs, period. But are you at least interested in the idea of having Khalil Herbert over Montgomery? Yeah. Is this like an easy pick for you, or do you just think he's washed when they draft someone the year after?
Oh, at cost, I like Herbert fine. I think to me, like if you're looking at these handcuff running backs, right? Like if you're the type of person, and I am to an extent, especially with some of them. Like if you're the type of person who really likes rostering like an Alexander Madison, a Tony Pollard, an AJ Dillon, etc., like Herbert is one of the most cost-effective options. I mean, here's PFF rushing grade last year. Number 1, Dearness Johnson, who's actually another guy I really like as a super cheap throw-in, and he's a free agent too, by the way. Then Tony Pollard, AJ Dillon, Jonathan Taylor, Damian Harris, and then Khalil Herbert. Like he was really freaking good last year. That's number 6 in the entire NFL in PFF rushing grade. He was outpacing David Montgomery in all advanced stats. And I understand that he had a much smaller sample size and it's harder when you're the workhorse and you're going over and over and over again. But I mean, this wasn't a situation where Khalil Herbert was getting 5 carries as a change of pace back and Montgomery was getting 15. It was when Montgomery was healthy, Herbert didn't get to play football. And then when Montgomery was not healthy, Herbert was the workhorse. So I don't really know why it would be that much of a difference in terms of like how their carries were allocated. Herbert really impressed me. Do I think Herbert's going to get more carries than Montgomery next year? No, that's not really how NFL teams work. Usually the guy who's gotten volume will continue to get volume. That being said, it's a totally new coaching staff. It's a totally new front office. These are not the guys that drafted David Montgomery. Like, I don't think David Montgomery has set the world on fire and shown that he's some entirely irreplaceable guy. I don't think that the new Bears regime is aware that he won people fantasy football titles in 2020. So I'll say that.
That's legit.
So I don't know. I think to me, like where Montgomery goes, if he retains his role that he's had before and he gets a lot of volume, he'll give fantasy production. He's durable. He's competent in all phases. Good for him. That being said, I tend to prefer the wide receivers. And then where Herbert goes, I think he's one of a lot of guys that are worth taking a shot on. And like, I would prefer, honestly, going with like a Herbert over, say, like a Alexander Madison or a Ramondre Stevenson, who often go ahead of them because I think he has a little bit more ambiguity on his side just because it is a new coaching staff and a new front office and Montgomery's on a contract year. So I think like you never know.
Yeah, it's going to be a murky situation. Again, I know you're off Montgomery anyway because he has, in that position of running back. So, Billy, you're a little bit more reasonable on the running back takes. Are you just punting away Monty, just expecting him not to be there or to be able to do any of this again? Like, where are you before we move on?
No, I think I'm the most bullish on the show on David Montgomery. Maybe I'm there with you, Tom. But, like, I'm willing to bet I have the most shares of David Montgomery in fantasy on the show. Like, I think David Montgomery, so long as he's in the league and getting play, is an RB2 no matter what. Whether you like that or not, that determines how you look at fantasy. But like Khalil Herbert, I think he's a really interesting player. He feels a lot like he's turning into he feels like he's a tier below like the top end handcuffs, like AJ Dillon, who's not going to handcuff at this point. Tony Pollard, who's pretty close to not being a handcuff at this point. Like he feels like he's just below those guys. And I mean, if there's like he is that guy that you can get for dirt cheap. You can throw him on the back of your dynasty roster. And I'm willing to bet he produces pretty well if David Montgomery were to go down or something else were to happen. And we could see that from like he was a special teams guy in college. He was an older running back coming out. He was drafted for his ability to be rather elusive. Like he profiles more as the modern day running back. And I think that's kind of what is a better selling point over someone like Montgomery. But that being said, I think I like Montgomery the most out of everyone here. So I still think he's a good guy.
I'm sure he's a great guy.
Yeah.
The type of guy you let marry your daughter, Billy.
I'm sure Dave Montgomery's a great guy.
First guy in, last guy out.
What's the meme? It's like feet of Saquon Barkley, hands of Le'Veon Bell, character of Pope.
Oh, I loved that where like after his first year, someone made that and it was like feet of David Montgomery, eyes of David Montgomery. It was all the way down.
I think David Montgomery would have a round higher ADP if his like profile photo didn't always make him look like kind of a chubbo.
I mean, he's looked like that since his sophomore year at Iowa State.
But he's still like he has baby fat in his cheeks, and it makes people think that he's worse than he is. And including me. Like I look at that face, I'm like, no, you ran a 4.8. Like,
instantly judged, but I swear we're good people. Look, we're gonna take a second. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, I will say this just to close it out. The thing to keep in mind, and this is the reason why in startups I do tend to lean Herbert over Montgomery, just that they're given values right now and where they're being taken. The other thing to remember here is Damian Williams no longer in the picture. He did tend to steal quite a few carries when he was healthy, and really it is just Herbert and Montgomery now, because chances are we're going to see Tariq Cohen cut to save some cap space as well.
I totally forgot that he was a player.
What
in
a
the NFL.
rough contract for the Bears.
He's part of the reason. He's part of the reason I don't think they'll sign Montgomery, because they're like, no, we've done this once before. We're gonna fuck it up again.
Tom, you made a trade for Tariq Cohen a couple weeks ago. What was that trade? Because I remember it was nothing, and I was like, I still think that's an overpay.
Cute Hurts, by the way. Khalil Herbert ran a 4.5 flat. He did not run a 4.8. I don't know where that came from.
The thing about Herbert though is, like you mentioned, in the time that he did take over for Montgomery, I mean, he was averaging, I believe it was almost 5 yards a clip, which when compared to Montgomery, who I think finished under 4. It might have even been like the 4 or the 3.7, 3.8 range. So I mean, it wasn't impressive by any means. So again, you talk about that explosiveness. I think there might be that opportunity with this new regime.
All right, can we talk some wide receivers here?
We're gonna go and talk.
Jacob's
we're gonna keep Steven here a little longer than an hour, and we're gonna do some real.
If that's okay with you.
Oh no,
we're not saying you have to be here.
No, he's locked in.
I have a wide receiver question I teased on Twitter that I gotta ask.
I didn't ask him, so he couldn't say no. So
that looks like that looks like a sound safe room. That's actually a chest that Tom locks him in that he's recording from.
Yeah, I tricked him to get in there. Look, when we come back, we got some draft combine stuff. Obviously, if you hadn't muted me on Twitter, I appreciate you, but we did get some clips up live as they were happening. That's something that we do for everyone, and we got them here in case you missed that. So sit tight. Here's a clip from our show with Troy King. It was a good one.
Troy, what's your favorite Miami Dolphins memory in your time watching the team?
Easy. It's really when I fell in love with him. So I was born into a Miami Dolphins home. It's like even when I was younger, like I always knew like the Miami Dolphins were like dope. But I mean, like, in terms of like I always liked them, right? But it definitely was the 2008 season. Wildcat, Ronnie
Brown,
time we were
Ricky
fun,
Williams. Honestly.
That was the last time we were fun with Chad Pennington. Oh my gosh. It was like literally, I just remember that. It was so happy. We made the playoffs. We lost. But we looked so good. But it was the year that Tom Brady got hurt. So that's the one thing. But we won the division, and it felt so good. It was so awesome. But no, it was just, again, like no one could stop the Wildcat. Everyone knew what was coming. And like,
Ronnie
look,
Brown, baby.
Ronnie Brown was not passing the ball. Like you knew he was gonna. It was either him running or Ricky, but they did. No, it was like NFL was like, whoa, what is happening? And it was as cool as a fan to just watch my team be good. I was like 18 years old when that happened. I was like, yo, this is super dope.
Look, if you missed that show, you can go and find that. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is episode 6. That is up everywhere where you find the rest of Full Tilt Dynasty podcast. That was a great time, guys. Wide receivers. Oh my gosh. Today, I really felt like they put on an absolute clinic. I do want to take a minute to discuss maybe people's least favorite position in fantasy, which is tight end. I want to talk about those guys today because Steven, you really upset me with your comment. I said that the Bears were a year early in drafting a wide receiver, or 2 years early in commit.
2 years.
Yeah, and they should have waited so they could take Trey. And what did you call him?
Levine Toilolo Jr.
Yeah, this guy with the absolute disrespect of the tight end 1 in this year's draft class. He's a player that I'm hoping falls even in tight end premium to like the mid to late second round. I don't think he will, because tight ends and tight end premium tend to get a boost, but I'm looking to roster him if I can. I don't know. I liked what I saw today. I thought today was great. Guys, did you catch any of the tight end stuff or no? Didn't care? Too busy?
I did not watch it because I was at work and I'm a good employee.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Yeah.
I like McBride a lot. I certainly didn't catch anything.
McBride, I like. Likely, I like. Jalen Weidermeier feels like he's probably going to be one of the top tight ends drafted, and it's probably not going to matter. But like it. The tight ends this year feel like a lot of like
yeah,
I care about one and a half of them.
I don't think any of them are close to the prospect that Pat Freiermuth was.
Oh,
Well, no,
I think
I
McBride is a better prospect than Freiermuth was.
I agree with
I
that.
think I think that if this was not the year after Kyle Pitts, who was the unicorn god, and Freiermuth, who was a good prospect who had a great rookie season, then I think that we would like Trey McBride a lot. I think he's a really, really good prospect.
Can we be honest that it was the fantasy footballers that upped Pat Freiermuth's ADP at this point? Like, they at least have 30%. Yeah, exactly. They are responsible for at least 30% of his increase in ADP.
It's the greatest nickname in football. How are we?
It's definitely one of them. 100%.
No, I like McBride a lot. Like, his yards per route run is above the 95th percentile among college tight ends. I also like Greg Dulcich a little bit. Is it Dulcich?
Yep.
Dulcich?
I think it's Dulcich.
Whatever it is, the UCLA guy. I like him. I've been told that Jalen Weidermeier is good. I don't know that much about him or his analytical profile, to be entirely honest, but people seem to like him.
He went to A&M. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's McBride. Like McBride is the only guy that I think where it's like, if I have a team that doesn't have a tight end on it, where I'm actually going into rookie drafts thinking like, okay, I want to position myself to draft Trey McBride. Beyond that, I'll probably take some shots in the 3rd and 4th rounds.
Yeah, that's fair. I like personally. I like Curtis Hodges, right? Okay. And I like Chase Allen. Just two tight ends. I'll probably draft a lot in the late 3rd and 4th rounds. You know, like the Graysons and those types of guys that everyone likes to pick up at the end of those rookie drafts. Those are for me.
I didn't see him test, but I really like Charlie Kolar. Is it Kolar? Kolar? However that's pronounced.
I like him too.
I really
he'll
liked
be the
him
tight
on
end
tape.
version of Algier.
Yeah, I really liked him on tape, even
too.
though he has the worst quarterback in college football. That's still at the combine.
Brock Purdy is ass.
Brock Purdy is very bad. It is strange that his completion percentage is what it is. But like Charlie Kolar, I really liked him on tape. And he's probably part of why that completion percentage is so high. I didn't get to see him test, though, which is upsetting. But I heard some good things. But, I mean, even if he just had a passable one, he's one of the few tight ends here that has, like, a chance that an NFL team really likes him and takes him in the second or third round.
Mhm.
I like Kalar. I think he can play Y in the NFL, which will help his draft stock. And he was pretty productive, especially he was productive alongside a wide receiver that didn't declare, but who I actually like in Hutchinson at Iowa State. So I like Kalar.
Yeah.
Steven, tight ends. I mean, the Bears definitely need one.
We love Cole Kmet.
I know there is
all 6 receptions of him.
I don't quite understand why there's so much love for Cole Kmet on Twitter. It's something I will never understand. But I'd say 2022 is probably the prove it year for Kmet, and then I think everybody can just finally get off of that train. I don't see them investing anything in that position, but for those who do, again, I cannot get excited over Trey McBride. I just can't. Like that separation and like that the speed that you need to act as that receiving option at tight end, especially when it comes to fantasy value. I just don't see it. I think it was just more.
Anyone know?
What are we talking
today? I'll tell you right now.
Did he run a 40 today, McBride?
Yeah, he did.
I'm not sure if he did.
Does anyone know what he ran?
I can effort that. Y'all keep talking.
All right. Anyway,
All right.
I mean, yeah, he was a core piece of that Colorado State offense. But I know I mentioned one name earlier, but another name and a recent name that just kind of rings a lot of bells for me. Except I will say that McBride has better blocking ability than him, obviously, because this guy didn't.
McBride did not run.
Okay. I have some tight end times after Steven's done.
That Bryson Hopkins. Remember the hype around Bryson Hopkins and what he did at Purdue?
Billy does.
And,
I did it. That was me. I was in there.
And just everything about that. And I keep getting flashbacks every time I hear about Trey McBride's season and just how much of an impact he had with the Rams and everything in that offense. And again, just comparing the bodies of work and just the talent, that's all I see. Really, and again, a name, and I really don't like him all that much either. That from an offensive perspective, that I think might be the most durable from a fantasy scoring perspective is Isaiah Likely. I mean, I think just from the receiving chops that he has, it's the best in this class, in my opinion. And there's out of the other guys, there's just nothing that screams like this is going to be a guy that molds into, a top tight end option in either redraft or dynasty.
Okay, so all I got from that is that Steven hates tight ends. That's fine.
I want to shout out really fast. I saw some 40 times from tight ends, unofficials, that I was able to find from Twitter. Top one, Shigosium Okonkwo. Never heard of that person, but he ran a 4.52, which means I'll have him in every single league.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's your new name tight end.
Tight end is like the only position where I actually do care about 40 time. And then what I'm seeing that Greg Dulcich ran a 4.61 unofficial, but it looks like his official time might have been 4.7.
Yep.
And then the other one that's dispiriting is Cole Turner, who was a standout out at Nevada. He ran a 4.76, so he's dead.
Yeah. He's completely done. I mean,
for anyone that hasn't heard me talk about this before, like tight end historically, like the tight end over 4.7 crew is like Zach Ertz and a bunch of nobodies. Tight end is one of those positions where your 40 time does matter, and you usually want to be underneath 4.7. So that one definitely matters. I have a question about wide receivers. We're going to talk about some wide receivers.
Yeah, we're going to go into it right now. Do it up.
Chris Olave, of course, lit the combine on fire. Ran a 4.26. I feel like most of the time in the combine, you constantly get disappointed by people. And Olave, I don't think if anyone saw that one coming. So all these former Ohio State teammate wide receivers, I think all three end up going in round one. We have Chris Olave, who ran the 4.26. Garrett Wilson, if anyone didn't see, ran a 4.37. And then Jamison Williams, who, of course, has been running in water because he tore his ACL. Which of those 3 wide receivers do you think will get drafted first in the NFL draft? And which of those 3 is your favorite in Dynasty, assuming they all do go round 1?
Oh, Steven, let's start with you.
I loved Jamison Williams. I was crushed when he got injured. I want to say he's going to bounce back and he's going to be the best option when everything is said and done. Just the body of work that he had and just the athleticism, I felt like it was going to translate like that. A little bit of a hiccup, but I think we've all seen that, ACL injuries aren't the death wish that they used to be. And I think it's something where, even for a relatively fresh injury to the point where, you can argue he's not going to be ready for the start of the NFL season. I mean, it'd be shocked if he was, but he seems to be well ahead of schedule. Just looking at some of the rehab assignments that he's already doing. They're still talking of him as a top 15 pick. It is a torn ACL wide receiver. I mean, I think that goes to say something that if this were not the situation, you could be arguing that this is a top 5 player. And I think that the talent will eventually get there and will back it up compared to some of these other guys that are being considered at the top of this class.
Interesting pick. That's not the one I would have thought of. Billy, who do you have?
Yeah, this one is crazy to me in hindsight. I think Olave is going to go first out of this group. And it comes down to the fact that Olave could have came out last year and opted not to. And I think that's going to talk a lot to the NFL. I think they're going to be interested in having someone who's more pro ready. There's a lot of teams at the front of the draft that are either building around a young quarterback or we need a guy that's good to go now and not a guy that maybe wants to develop over the course of the year. And I think Chris Olave may be one of the more available guys that is ready to go now. I think he has a legitimate chance to go somewhere in that range from 8 to 15. He's not my favorite of the 3. I am with Steven that Jamison Williams, if he didn't tore his ACL, is probably my wide receiver 1 right now. But in that situation, as it stands right now with the cards that have been dealt, I think Olave goes 1 easy.
Olave is so interesting. Yeah. Because at the start of this year, he was the consensus NFL wide receiver 1. And then he became not that. And now he might end up back there. Tom, who's your guy?
If we're talking the Ohio State guys, right, with Olave and I think I agree. I think Olave is going to be the first one that's drafted, right? But he's not my favorite. If I want to go with my favorite player, it's a wide receiver, and it being Ohio State, it's the man that ran 4.37, right? To me, it's Garrett Wilson. He has enough size, 6 foot tall, right? Weighed in 183 pounds. He's a junior. Hand size 9 7/8. That's pretty good. And you're talking about a guy that can play inside and outside, maybe a little better inside than out. But I don't care if he's a slot receiver in the NFL anymore. I mean, that's what I want on my fantasy team. And speed, and he runs routes well. I'm not a scout, so if he doesn't run routes well, you can suck it. In my opinion, he does. Get over yourself. Right?
Fair enough.
He just does everything that I want to do. His broad jump was fine. His vertical jump was more than okay. He's, in my opinion, the most well-rounded, and again, junior, healthy, right, and productive at Ohio State. I mean, if I could say I want Wilson with the Bears if I want to do the helmet scouting type deal, Wilson with Fields, that'd be totally fine for me. He doesn't have to. He has the Bateman type big body ability more than he does that 6'3", 6'4" guy. I think he fits that bill. He has enough size and he's hella quick, and it plays on the field. So for me, Garrett Wilson's my guy. Easy.
Give me Bo Melton.
Yeah, so the real answer, of course, is Jackson Smith-Njigba, but that'll be next year. No, he's gonna be, oh my god. But I agree with Tom. Wilson's my favorite. I would have said coming into today that Wilson would be the first off the board. I think that Olave now will be after that 4.26. Like, again, will it affect how I view these players that are combine? Not really, but we know that the NFL definitely cares about a 4.2. I mean, heck, Ruggs was the first wide receiver off of the board in his draft class. Olave's profile is massively better than Henry Ruggs was, and he actually ran faster than Ruggs. So
John Ross.
I think Olave probably first off the board. That being said, yeah, I think to me it's, man, like Jamison Williams is my favorite to watch of the three. He had the best season of any of the three, but I just can't get over the fact that all three of these guys were on the same team. Wilson and Williams were the same age. They were the same year. And Wilson and Olave were out there playing, and Williams was out there chilling. Right? He was the one that had to transfer away. So I just feel like there's a little bit more risk. I still have Wilson and Williams in my top tier. I have Olave in the next tier just because he is that senior declare. But Wilson for me is the guy. Like, I understand that his profile doesn't pop off of the spreadsheet quite as much as a Burks or a London does. But the reality is, like, we can't sit here as like spreadsheet nerds, complaining about some of these Alabama wide receivers and their profiles, like a Judy and like a Waddle and a Smith, whatever, when they didn't have the early production and the early breakout, and say, okay, well, who cares what your teammates are? You can break out. Wilson did that. Like, Wilson came out, he had the early breakout, he had the production, and he did it. It's not at the level of some of the others, but it's impossible. When you look at his yards per team pass attempt, he looks way better on that metric because he was so efficient, because he was maxifying what he was doing. And he's an early declare. He competed with the best. I have no problem with Garrett Wilson, honestly, as high as wide receiver 1 overall in this class, although he comes in at 3 for me and my favorite of these 3 guys.
Yeah, he's definitely he's definitely top 3, and he's closer to 1 than he is to 3. So like he's right there. You like that one, Billy? And
I like the way you said that.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I do. Steven, I know you guys, I love that this Baker throw is in here because I use it to make a point about why I don't care about quarterbacks underthrowing the deep ball at the combine. Because Baker was taken number 1. He was a combine darling, and ask Odell and his knee about Baker's underthrows on deep balls. So
Tom put that clip in just so he could take a side swipe at Baker that no one fucking asked for.
Hey, actually, one person on Twitter did, and it was Luke, who quote tweeted my thing saying that it, you don't like to see it underthrown. The NFL doesn't know how to scout quarterbacks. None of us know how to scout quarterbacks. I don't think a slightly underthrown ball at the combine is going to make or break a player's friggin' draft cap. So chill.
Also,
Baker sucks.
Before we move on to the quarterbacks, I feel like we do need to talk about Taekwon Thornton, who broke a combine record today.
Good for him.
My God.
Is that official now?
Yep. Official time 4.21.
4.21.
Jeez.
So I don't think it matters at all, but
I'm
good for him.
right
Congrats,
now, by the way. I
Taekwon.
literally don't
That
know
guy
who
is
the
going to get
person
himself
was.
drafted in the 5th round now because of his speed, and Jacob's going to have him on fantasy teams just because
I'll take him.
I'll
take him, sure.
Steven,
I just want to know how many years it's going to take to get sub 4.2.
Just so you know, guys, I just Googled Taekwon Thornton player profiler so I could pull up some stats, and he does not have a page.
Like, who?
Yeah. Okay.
He has a sports
he's
reference.
gonna.
Let me check. Okay, so he has so his analytical profile is uninspiring. But he's really fast.
He ran 40.
Kenny Pickett.
So he's gonna be lower draft capital John Ross. All right, that sounds great. Steven, you guys at TriCitySports.com, you guys do your yearly mocks, right? I mean, I was lucky enough to join you guys for the Ravens picks. I hit one, missed the other. Still really sad that Quinn is not a Raven. It's really depressing that they didn't take him. I'm still sad to this day. Obviously, to be able to do shows like that, you must have some idea on rankings. So I want to know, going into today, moving up and down boards because of obviously bad 40 times David Bell. You shouldn't necessarily move guys up and down, but let's just say for fun, we want to fuck around a little bit. Who moved up enough to significantly impact your draft? And I'm going to take Christian Watson out as an answer because he'd
He
be
learned he's
everyone's
from-
answer.
He's from Krypton.
Yeah,
I'm just confirming here. That's the only one you want to take off for you.
I'm taking him out, and yeah, I'll leave everyone else. If you want to use Olave and cop out, you can do that too.
I
But
mean, how can
else-
you not?
who
How can
else
you not
do
use
you
Olave?
because like Jacob had mentioned, he's already being touted
Well,
as
you can
that
you
guy.
can
So I
take
don't think-
Olave. That's fine. I know who my pick is.
I'm
I got
just
mine.
saying it's a cop out. But who else between, let's say, quarterbacks, running backs, tight ends, who moved up enough to really affect your rankings, or down even? The down is fine, just based on what you've seen so far from the combine today.
Man, yeah, I gotta use Olave as the cop out. I'm sorry. I mean, just that
fine.
speed. I mean, I mean, it's a softball question. If you're gonna leave him there, I mean, the dude's gonna be a first round pick. He solidified himself and arguably could be the first wide receiver off the board now with that speed.
Yeah.
I mean, it just completely changed the game at wide receiver. And I mean, for all Bears related purposes, I'm fine with that because I didn't think he was going to last until the second round. And now there's going to be another guy that I probably didn't think was going to be there that might be there now. So I'm absolutely fine with that. That there's these guys where somebody's going to fall in love with them, especially with that 4.26. And I mean, just being able to go out there and do that, and then again, the body of work at Ohio State, it's I don't think you can really put up a fight that anyone did better today in terms of that stock, even if he was already being considered as one of the top names overall as it is.
I do want to jump in here real quick. This may not be officially confirmed, but NFL.com is now reporting that Chris Olave ran a 4.39.
What?
Really?
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
4.39?
That is now what's reported on their website.
Did something get jammed? How do you go from 4.26 to 4.39?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
4.39 right here.
Wait, okay,
Wow.
well, let's watch this ticker. Okay, so I was gonna
Get
I
out
feel
the
bad.
stopwatch.
I was gonna say this, but I didn't want to risk sounding like I'm out here pulling frame by frames. But I watched Watson's and I watched Olave's, and it just looked like Watson was faster to me. So this doesn't maybe shock. By my eye, I just felt like Watson was moving faster. But that's
that's a huge jump. If that's
the
real,
thing is this is how crazy the 4.26 was. 4.39 is still a really good time.
and he jumped down
4.26, I
16
think, takes
people.
him out of the top receiver off the board, in my opinion. I think it's enough of a jump for the NFL to be like, oh, what's going on here?
Okay, I feel like the last 2 hours has been this entire freaking season with Chris Olave. I remember when this college football season started, Olave was consensus wide receiver 1. And I was like, we're fading Chris Olave because I liked London more, I liked Burks more coming into the year, I liked Wilson more. I didn't obviously have the opinion of Jamison Williams that I do now before this year started, but there was all these guys I liked more. Then all of a sudden, Olave kind of slides down, and then Tom would always say in the chat, but you hate Olave, right? And I was like, yeah, now he's going wide receiver 6. I don't really care. I was so happy when he ran. No, because I don't care. He was the same guy he's always been. I don't have a take. He was my wide receiver 6 coming into the year, and then that was hating him because he was everyone's wide receiver 1, and then he was everyone's wide receiver 6. So I was like, all right, sure, I guess he's fine. And then he was going back up, I thought, on the 4.26. This would be a bummer if he didn't actually run that.
I will keep it updated. I just tweeted so that I made sure I got credit for noticing that. But
what is this? Davis saying he was suspended for policy violations?
What?
Is this real?
Was.
No way he was.
No.
Oh, we got
Dave.
Riri. What's up, Riri?
Hold on.
Coming in from Twitch.
I'm checking. Oh, yeah.
Always a good time.
Uh-oh. Yeah,
Wait,
YouTube.
Oh, we got suspended.
Yeah.
Oh, did we? Oh, that'll happen.
Stream suspended for policy violations.
Oh, well.
Yeah, that'll happen. Yeah, they do that. But hey, look, quarterbacks are also kind of a huge deal. So
yeah, we're still
obviously,
streaming on Twitter. So all right.
Yes.
yeah, no, we're good. No, we're
Okay.
fine. Look, obviously, quarterbacks are like the talk, right? Talk of the town. Who did it today? Obviously, I want to talk about Malik Willis because that throw, oh my lord. Actually, you know what? We haven't seen it yet. Billy, here you go.
I'm watching this for the first time.
First time Billy has seen this. Look at this ball.
Maybe.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Get that man.
nice.
Get that man on the fast track.
Is Malik Willis the clear-cut Superflex 101?
I think he has to be. I think he has to be.
Some weird draft stuff has to happen for him to not get it.
I'm
Like,
most
he has to
interested
go
in
to-
Billy's answer because we're in a league together where I have the 102 and Billy has the 101.
Yeah,
All
mean-
the intel. All of it.
like something crazy has to happen for Malik Willis to not be the 101. Like,
Okay, let's
I can't even think of what that is. Like,
Well, let's tease it
go-
out. Let's tease it out. So let's assume like Brees Hall gets round 2 capital, has a really nice landing spot, like Cardinals or Chiefs or Bills, something like that. How far down does Malik Willis have to get drafted to be below where you would rank Hall or Spiller, whoever your top running back is?
I think I'd have to watch like Pickett and Corral go ahead of him. And like, I would have to watch something with the NFL saying he's not actually the guy. Like, because if we're now in a situation where Pickett goes whatever the pick is to the Panthers or something, and Corral goes to whatever the Commanders, and Willis goes to, I don't know, the Saints, and they cut Michael Thomas,